Hi, my name is Gabriella, and I'm going to be talking about hospital food. I'm going to be describing all of the health and nutritional issues that are faced. So, how does hospital food affect us? Food is essential for everyday living. Patients in the hospital need specific comfort for their needs to keep healthy, and hospitals providing food is one way to help them recover. There's a history of hospital food. In this picture, it's a picture of St. Elizabeth offering food to a hospital patient in Marburg, Germany in 1598. Essentially, everything started in the 17 and 1800s, and in the 1700s, hospital meals were generally divided by the high and low diets depending on the patient's illness. So, in most British hospital diets comprised of bread, beef, and beer. A lot of alcohol was given to the patients, but it started to decline more in the 1800s. And other than that, along with the alcohol, they had potatoes and a lot of fruit and vegetables, is what you would normally see in their meals at the hospitals at this time. Now, hospitals have clinical aspects which make it very difficult for their patients to eat. This is a piece of salmon, and so is this. Now, looking at these two pictures, you would definitely want the first one, just based off the presentation. Meanwhile, they're both the same. This is an example of institutional stereotyping, which mainly is about this article. 6 out of 10 people rely on their families to bring them food.
Oh my gosh, there's cheese.
This is what's called quiche. This is from a country known for having fancy hospital food.
I know, it smells like vinegar. I don't like it. It's just a little spicy. I'm scared to try this.
So there's a demographic implication in the public health area with hospital food, and I found a study that shows how much food goes to waste. 3 types of wards with elderly, medical, and surgery. There's 4 hospitals and 9 wards, 2 are in London and 2 are in southern London. 3 wards use food cooked mainly in the hospital kitchen. 6 use cook chill and cook freeze dishes bought and already prepared. Then 5 of the wards use a bulk system where food is transported to the ward and plated in the others. Food is plated in the hospital kitchen, then transported to the ward. Food sent to the ward, served to patients, and that which remained uneaten or left on the service trolley was weighed for a minimum of 24 hours in each ward, 966 patient meal days. This data enabled food wasted and neutral intake to be calculated. Results indicate that food wastage was lower at the breakfast meal than the midday and evening meal, with 23.10, 39.99, and 42.35. Female had a higher rate. Wastage was higher where food was plated in wards rather than in the kitchen, with 57.75% and 35.28% respectively, and wastage was higher where food was purchased and ready prepared rather than prime cooked. Nutritional intake was calculated for 5 wards, and an all-energy intake was below the recommendations. The high deficient was 58%. Deficiencies were also noted for other nutrients. I just wanted to add all of that data just so you guys can understand the differences with male and female as far as the waste that goes in the hospitals and the kind of food and all of that. I thought that was very important to add to this project.
In the Netherlands, a lot of people are staying in hospitals and healthcare institutions. They all need to be fed, which means 35,000 meals have to be prepared every day. Around 40% of this huge amount of food ends up in waste containers. It's literally a waste of food, work, and money. Reducing this wastage creates new opportunities. For instance, you could provide patients with better quality meals. This provides more satisfaction because patients eat better and with more relish. But how do you reduce food waste? You start by taking measurements. Wageningen UR is researching food waste in hospitals, and for that we look at various factors. For instance, which kind of food is discarded the most? For warm meals, it's mostly vegetables that end up in the litter bin. And which day sees the most food wastage? It's mostly on Thursdays and Fridays that meals come back uneaten. Which meal is thrown away most often? Of the 3 meals that patients receive on a day, it's mostly food from the warm meal that ends up in the litter bin. It's also important to know at which stage of the process most of the food is wasted. Is it while the food is being prepared, or is there still food left after portioning? Does a patient eat less than expected, or are there less patients than meals? Measurements show that it's mostly due to food that is left after portioning. This causes almost half of all food wastage. Finally, the time at which a meal is being ordered also influences the
My question to you guys is, have you ever eaten at a hospital? Yes or no? Did you like it? And if no, would you try it? Now, my next question for you to think about is, do you think hospital food is healthy for you or not?
This is healthy because cucumbers are healthy for your eyes. Soup keeps your body warm.
There's cake. You serve me cake while people is sick?
In the article I found, it's a viewpoint from a professor in pediatrics that wants to ban sugar-sweetened beverages to reduce childhood obesity. As you can see, this is an example of a kid eating a piece of cake at her stay. The article that I read discusses all of the high-calorie intakes from vending machines in the cafeteria, and the author adds that hospitals should be a model for healthcare reform in their communities, and this is a step. On the other hand, hospitals are starting to pay more attention to what they're giving their patients at their stay. For example, all of the medical centers in blue are starting to offer quinoa, brown rice, antibiotic-free meat, and hormone-free dairy. This is an example of a hospital in Tampa that has a McDonald's right next door to their unit. It makes no sense for people on the floor to be treated for diet-related disease like type 2 diabetes and see the most recognized junk food brand on another, says one person. And another nurse adds that it always seemed wrong that there was a McDonald's there. The reason why I shared the Tampa hospital was only because of the other article that I mentioned, how having fast food in hospitals make people think that fast food may not be so bad after all. But it is. Hospital food can be delicious and healthy. I had gotten this article about Norbert Boom, who won an award for his plant-based recipes in hospitals that are saving lives every day and making food delicious for patients. Norbert was asked for an interview, and they asked him about his style on foods, and he says that you don't need to lose favor to passion would quickly lose its appeal, so it can be healthy and just as good. So I really like this article, and in short, it really narrows down and explains all of the sodiums and the levels that are being put into the food at the hospitals, and it's demonstrating heart failure. So one of those issues are going to be cultural issues. The only reason why is because we do live in a very diverse country, and when people come into the hospital and they need specific foods to match their religion, we have to make sure that we're prepared for that and to be aware of it. So basically in this article, it's just talking about how Canada and anywhere internationally, they're partaking the responsibility of working their way into diversity and all of that, including with foods, and they want to make sure that they're giving not only the best care in the hospital. So instead of throwing all stats at you guys, I just wanted to show you this picture. This picture just shows all of the food waste that occurs in this specific article that I read, and the food is not only being wasted, but it wastes time and a lot of money. Interesting enough, with the political getting involved, the government had said that 500,000 people a year dying with malnutrition in NHS hospitals in England. There was a Food Standard Agency traffic light model for high standard fat, and 15 out of 25 meals served contain more salt than a Big Mac. So that is a very big deal. Hungry for change. So there are a lot of new changes in the field now as far as food services, and there is a video right here that's going to explain it to you
Hi, I'm
guys.
Claudia Conk, and I'm the Director of Food Nutrition Services. We provide all the patient food service. We also make all the special modified formulas for all the babies and all of our enteral products. And we also are the ones that run and manage the food court. So we have both of our patient services and our retail food services here. Well, in patient food service, we have about 45 employees that are actually involved in food service, but as a total department, I have 80. And I also say that campus-wide, when we look at all of our other hospitals, I think we do need to say we have about 160 food service employees that really provide this in multiple locations. You have your cooks, you have your employees that deliver the patient trays.
Hi, good morning.
You have your employees that help the patient with their menu. I have my diet office staff that is actually trying to coordinate all the menus, get all the needs specific and make sure everything is correct. Storeroom people, on and on and on. So this is our patient tray line. Diet office. It's our production area. So we do have our own storeroom here with the food. We do get food deliveries quite a few times. In fact, we probably have a delivery coming every single day. Our formula room was recently rebuilt in the last couple of years and is pretty much a state-of-the-art formula room. In this formula room is where we make all of our special infant formulas in which we have to add additives. I'm extremely proud of this department. I think we have worked really hard, and I have a very tenured staff here. I think there was a time when we even just looked at this department and looked at our years of service, and quite honestly, we're well over 500 years of service just in this department. The fact that we did over 246,000 meals last year alone. Now let's put that into dishes that we wash. So assuming that every tray maybe has about 4 dishes, what we thought was real interesting is if we stacked all the dishes up and looked at the height of those dishes, we did over 1,125,000 dishes. We make over 200 items a day when you think about all the various variations of something that could come up. So if we do need to make modified pancakes, we make modified pancakes. You got to take the lactose out, we will. Every single patient gets a very individualized menu. So if they've got allergies, if they've got special needs, if they've got likes and preferences, or whatever their diet or their diet combination is, the menu that that patient receives has got only the foods that they're allowed to eat. So their choices then are right there in front of them as to what we have to offer. And if we need to work on more choices, it's amazing how many grocery store runs we do. We do whatever we can do to make sure that we can provide a child what they need and the variety of food that they like to get. We have added a beanie special to our menu. You know, children like to eat comfort foods and what they're used to, but we also see this as a hospital, an opportunity for us to maybe introduce children to something that's healthier or something that maybe they haven't tried at home. Chicken nuggets are still our most popular product. So what was really interesting is we make over 650,000 chicken nuggets a year. My department, I feel like we touch the children multiple times a day. Walking in that patient's room with that tray is the one thing that can really be a positive.
Congratulations is in order. The kitchen staff at UNC Rex Hospital is getting national recognition for beating top-rated chefs in cooking competitions.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. As WNCN's Carly Griffith explains, they're putting a new spin on an old stereotype.
Our mac and cheese is excellent here, one of our most popular items.
Not something you'd expect to hear about hospital cafeteria food. Usually it's more like
cottage cheese and Jell-O is the first things that come to mind.
But chefs at UNC Rex are turning patients and workers into hospital food believers.
We actually walk across the street to come eat here, actually.
We're getting ready for our lunch service. We're going to serve about 400 patients for lunch.
Executive Chef Ryan Conklin says his background in the restaurant business has led him to push for fresher ingredients and faster preparation.
As a patient here, you read the menu, you order your food, and you call down to our nutrition therapy office, and they place the order into our kitchen just like a waitstaff would in a restaurant.
And as a healthcare facility, UNC Rex is advocating for a healthy lifestyle by serving healthier foods. They were the first hospital in the Southeast to get rid of deep fryers in their kitchen, while still staying on top of the latest trends in the food industry.
You don't have to run down the road to get, the special new thing that's out there. We actually do it here.
And the chefs have seen the difference their food is making across the country.
Other hospital groups actually fly in from, Seattle or Florida or wherever just to tour the facility here to find out how we do what we do and whether or not they can do the same things.
In Raleigh, Carly Griffith.
Hi guys! So I wanted to record my overall understanding of hospital food, as you know my topic. So ignore my whole image right now. We're at a wedding and we're in a hotel, so I just brought my project here to conclude everything. So I learned a few things interesting about hospital food where I thought hospital food was actually healthy for you. Meanwhile, it's not. I asked my mom on the way to the wedding today if she thought that hospital food was healthy or not, and she said she thinks it's healthy, and I told her no, and she was actually surprised by my answer to that. There are recent studies and change in the field with like the food service facility in the hospitals for healthcare. They are realizing that the food that they are giving to their patients aren't as healthy as they thought. So now I mentioned one of the chefs that won an award last year. He won an award for his plant-based diet. And I believe he did like Indian food and different spices, and he explained the benefits of all these spices that were tasty. They had good reviews, everybody enjoyed it, and good responses, and they were getting good effects to their bodies, so it was a win-win. So I thought that was a good video to add, just to show that there are choices. Doesn't mean they have to be plain, no salt, all this. They can still be tasty. Just what you put in your food is very imperative, so just being cautious of that. My other thing about the hospitals is the convenience of fast food is not convenient at all for the person's health. The speed of the food getting done versus their health, I think that their health outweighs it 100%. So the article and a couple of the images I posted showed McDonald's that were located in the hospitals, next door to hospitals, across the street from the hospitals. That was mind-blowing to me, and there was several of McDonald's located at the hospital. So I look at it as, to me, it's like someone that has an alcohol problem going into a rehab and there's a liquor store next door. Like, it defeats the entire purpose of the hospital being healthy. Even if you get a salad at McDonald's, it's not healthy at all. So yeah, another thing that I took away from this project was all of the barriers that come to play. I know there are barriers with the health field, but when you think of food, you really don't think of the barriers. But doing this presentation, I realized that there are cultural differences, and that goes with their beliefs on foods that they're eating. So they can't have pork, let's just say, or if they choose not to have meat because they may be vegan. There's a lot. So the culture differences, there's a whole diversity out there, and hospitals weren't respecting that or acknowledging it, may be a better word. Now they've realized, and now they respect it. So they have many choices. So I think that that's definitely a plus. The religious barriers, I know there's some religions that like kosher, you know, there's specifics that, you know, just because you're not at home, if you're going to be at hospital, you're home away from home, for unfortunate events, you really do need to respect their choices and beliefs. So I think it's great that the hospitals have finally realized that. But before all this had happened, all the food was going to waste because of their how their lifestyle is. So not only they're wasting time for the chef, they're wasting food, and they're wasting money by buying all this food for people just to throw it away. And I also added a video on how picky, but it wasn't people just being picky. It was just weird how people weren't eating hot meals at hospitals, but they were eating the cold meals, and they didn't eat the dinners. And just how they were packaging it and their presentation. I even showed the 2 different plates of salmon, which were the same exact thing, but the way how they presented it at a restaurant versus at a hospital makes the one at a restaurant more appealing. So that definitely makes a difference as far as that. Yeah, so and also the let's see, what was another thing I wanted to say? Yeah, so basically just how the little things make a big difference for everybody in the hospital, and not only for the patients, it makes a difference in the people that work there. They feel more rewarded, as their job is already rewarding. So knowing that they're helping them, they're also helping them and respecting their choices, and that gives them the satisfaction that they're doing everything they can to make sure that person feels safe, secure, comfortable for however long they need to be in the hospital. So that's pretty much everything, and that is it. Okay, bye guys.